How's it, Brayton?
Hi, welcome. Just testing out a little intro. So I made that intro for one of my students just to demonstrate how to create AI clips. Create AI clips and then how to put it together. Like using the traditional, design tools. Like that was done in Premiere, I think. Yeah, I think it's just Premiere. So pretty simple. So tonight, what we're going to do in this creative process is continue on. What I'm going to continue on doing is going down that AI route. So the conversation we had last night, we're talking about. I don't know if you can see these nodes, but hey, doesn't matter. Using AI and making some useful tools, useful tools, and the group that I think are really underserved. So I'm sort of thinking about these AI tools. I think the underserved group is parents. This came talking to my partner. Her and I decided that, well, we kind of had this idea that we keep getting the same questions from our parent friends. How do I do this? How to do that? We're having troubles in our relationships. And it's like, well, have you used ChatGPT? ChatGPT can solve that. Or what's some examples? Actually, I don't have any examples off the top of my head. Again, like, this is not a show in the sense of everything's figured out. This is just the behind the scenes and sort of working out the workings out. The creative process itself it's pretty ugly. It's chaotic. It's messy. It's not perfect, but it is carving the stone to create a beautiful sculpture. So what I'm just introducing to, this is my desk layout. This is where I write my notes in this book. This one here, and then when I'm thinking, trying to decipher things, and I put it. I just sort of scribble. Do some drawings just to help the brain not really think about it too much. So a lot of this you'll see is just thinking out loud. So yeah. So with this also, I'll probably be talking, I probably won't be talking. But what you're going to see is the process as I go. So hi. That's my title. That's what I'm going to try. Anyway, we'll go back to this. So what we're looking at, parents, AI. I've seen a lot of prompt engineering. It was this thing in the very early days, and it's funny, we're still in the early days of LLMs, but in the very early days of ChatGPT, prompt engineering, it lost a bit of momentum in the sense that it's kind of, I think the word engineering added to it made it more of a joke, almost like a joke term. But parents, prompt engineering, parenting is hard. That's really what it comes down to. Parenting is hard. Actually, I might just start a new line down here. Actually, that's probably the big sticking point. I might just put that in the center. So if we develop AI tools under the premise that parenting is hard and it is the most It's the most rewarding thing that you'll ever do. You'll ever do. Yeah, it's insane. So I've got 2 kids, and there's a huge adjustment that happens, like when you go from just, you know, being yourself, living for yourself, and having, you know, all your responsibilities, all your concerns. It's really just, it's just about you. Life is mostly about you until you have kids and a significant other. But, you know, it really does change focus, and it changes the emphasis of life and meaning. And sometimes it's so crazy, like you just sort of go through these days and it's like it's so insane and so full on, and you just kind of holding on like a that's all you got to do. Like you got to do your absolute best, but sometimes doing your absolute best is just about holding on and you know, staying, you know, holding on for dear life, really. But as hard as it is, God, it's so rewarding. Like, yeah. So, you know, back to this parenting is hard. Now, there's a lot of self-help stuff out there, or sort of parenting advice that you'll see on like Insta. And I think a lot of this Insta stuff is more like, you know, you got to be aware of the grifters. And why I say grifters is because a lot of what you see, well, my experience of what you see on there is, you know, it's not real. You know, these people, they're not real. And like these mums and these dads live in these fantastic lifestyles, and it portrays a vision and a type of what's possible, but what they're doing is actually not impossible. It's not possible because, you know, to have that much resource and time and finances is because they're putting their life up online and getting, you know, ad revenue from, or sponsorships, brand deals. So it's already like an artificial thing. So I find, just in my experience of seeing like my partner, that these well-intended like mums and dads and parental advice that's up on socials, especially Insta and TikTok, is it may be well-intended. It might be there to help people, but I think it's commercially incentivized to just get attention. And so you see these people living these lavish lifestyles, and it sort of creates this FOMO or an envy, and then a pressure, a stress and anxiety. It was like, well, I must be a failure because I can't do that, or I can't, as a dad, I can't provide that for my family. You know, what am I doing wrong? Okay, well, let me follow this person and see how they figured it out, and let me buy their course and just buy their whatever. And this is what I think where the grift comes into play, because what they're selling is not real. Like how they're achieving it. Like to have the life they have, you just have to live the life they have. You have to, you know, be a creative content producer. You've got to put yourself up there online. You've got to analyze the results. You know, you don't necessarily be led by the audience. But if no one's watching, then what's the point? You know? So that's where I think the parental advice is getting stuck. Because I also notice, and again, everything I say is purely anecdotal, but anecdotal in the sense that's from my perspective, is that we don't seem to have any sense of community anymore. And by sense of community, I wouldn't say this goes for everybody, but I would say that there's a large portion of people that don't have this sense of community that otherwise would have. And just adjusting my levels. a bit loud in my ears. You know, I would say parental advice needs to be aware of grifters. No, I'd say no sense or / loss of community around parenting, because there was that thing that, you know, that old line, it takes a village to raise a child, and that's absolutely true. But not everybody has that anymore, and I think because people have strayed away from community groups like churches and, you know, local clubs. I think neighborhoods not being as connected. There is really no like reliance on people around you and people in your community. It takes a village to raise a child. So you'll put that there. It's an important word. I say loss of community around parenting. Sure, there's like lots of advice out there, but yeah, it's tricky. So this loss of community, you know, there's not people to, you know, some people might have a really good social network, like friends and a good circle around them, but maybe it could be better. And so I think like the general premise with parents is everyone's trying their best. That's the most important part, to assume everyone is trying their best. Now, I've been in the playgrounds and I see like these fat dads on their phones doom scrolling with their big guts and, you know, terrible posture, sort of hunched over the park bench while their kids are running around on the thing. And some kids are like sort of, I think like single child, they it looks like they're just bored and waiting for someone to engage with them, interact with them. So, you know, I guess we have to assume that everyone is trying their best or wants to do the best. Might have to, I can't really zoom in on this thing, but zoom in this camera. Hi, that's my finger. Yeah, because I don't know if you'll be able to see all that, but anyway. So everyone is trying their best or wants to do their best, and I think you've got to assume that people want to do their best, because if you think people are dumb, you're going to do dumb work. If you think people are smart, you're going to have, you know, a sense of, I think it'll show in the work. The work will have respect for the user. So you've got to assume that everyone is trying their best and wants to do their best. So parenting is hard. So there's a couple of things you can sort of isolate here. So we say like a loss of community. Parenting is hard. Everyone is trying their best, and be aware of grifters. And it takes a village. Well, that goes. It takes a village. So, what's the solution? Well, what's the problem here? Let's just analyze this. The problem is that parenting is hard. Everyone wants to do their best. We don't really have a sense of community. Maybe like family, they live so far away. So let's just add that in. Let's say geographic. And like it's bizarre to me that like grandparents and their kids will live in different states, and the grandchildren will, you know, obviously be with their parents. And it's like, well, as a grandparent, absolutely move. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you so far away? Like, what's the point of being a grandparent if you're so far away from your grandchildren and your children? It's like this. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's their preference, but I would absolutely move in proximity to my kids and the grandkids. Like, what's the point of living in a different state? Different country might be hard, but fuck it. What else are you gonna do? Play pickleball? Fuck that. No. It's about family. So there's geographical limitations by that. I'd say loss of parent groups. I'd say mum groups. And again, I'm not saying this is totally true for everybody, because I know there are like church groups and there are people who have really good circle of friends, communities. Their whole family might live in the same street. I know that my partner, her family, they all live in the same small town because they're a farming family. So, but I don't think that's common for everybody. And even if there are other options. So parent advice. So now it's like trying to figure out these AI tools, because I think, well, what's the advantage of using ChatGPT? Let's just focus on ChatGPT because it's actually, let's even bring it up. This is Mikey. Let's bring up ChatGPT. I hate how it always logs me out. I'll bring it up on screen in a sec. I just don't want everyone to look at my password. And by the way, we listen to some AI music. That's not bad. I heard the other day that apparently they're going to be takedown notices from... I'm not even going to mention the company, but there's going to be takedown notices. And it's like, well, who does this belong to? Like, the platform? Is it the person who came up with the prompt, or is it the content and the data that was initially trained from? It's an interesting question.
Vivo sto buio fino in fondo con l'amici mia cassotta con pallone abbiamo un mondo che Mi fa squidare che nascevo mo' di fame. Come padre entra me matri che travaglio fugno. A chi a scuola mi sedia faccio prima. A riesta a casa stai nata vucceria. Cuci! Piccere durunni vai. Cucu ti unci, cucu stai. Cucu voglio stare a cura se non mi passi guai.
Alright.
Un picciriddu come a mia muriu, troppo brutto. Ministro ora, ma ghiaccia solo sangue. Casa riasto che un altro minuto, resto solo un fango. E troppi sogni nel cassetto, voglio solo un po' d'affetto. Il mio cuore vuole forza perché lotta. Troppo stanco di non avere un vero tetto addosso. E intanto aspetto. Sette cannoli blancaccio. C'è balla rumacciuni, buibu nuovo zendo. Calata filmi, mensu muriari. Cuba, urituri, Tommaso Natale. Mi susa mezzi wenno, mangio una nonna e scinno. Mi metto a cantoniera, a un po' chi fumo vino. Sakura passi guai, un morire più usaccio. Ma spiatto stasera cana, ma pazzo, mi vuoto. La luce abbagliante, che tutti quasi a curi, caccia volante. Mi caro malaspina, e hai visto pure i spiddi. I stessi che s'accattano e poi mannano i sbirri. Ora sono qua fuori, da fuori la natura. Io mi scanto in nudo e tu da stare a cura. Facisti un banco.
Alright. Where did I get up to? Prompt engineering. So when I don't think it necessarily makes sense to design our own tools. Like I don't want to go down the route of building like my own system software for parents, because ChatGPT is so powerful and there's more time, money, investment and resources being put into this. So I think it makes sense to build on top of this. I really do. So some of the limitations, actually let's just start a new doc. Show topics. Oh yeah. Add a new one. Call this tab. Topics. Call this tab. Gotta give this a name. We'll go project. What's the name? Parent. I'm just gonna look Parent GPT for now. Now I know you probably can't see this on screen, and I've got to figure out how to do this. Oh well, I guess you could always. Oops, wrong one. I reckon we could always go here. I'm still just getting used to this setup, and actually what I'm getting used to is just talking about this as I do it. Usually when I work I just sort of just do it. I don't talk it out loud, but hey, we're going to do things a little bit differently. So what time is it? Oh man, God, the time passed quickly. It's midnight already. Okay, we might just go for half an hour. Everyone is trying their best. So prompts. I'm getting a little bit lost. I think as I start to get used to this process of just talking this out loud, then yeah, I'll get into more of a flow of it. But yeah, it's really challenging to sort of think out loud when I'm not used to doing it like this. Just looking at my notes here. So parenting is hard. So I guess like the limitations of, well, let's just say ChatGPT. What have we got? It's a text-based interface. So I think what I'm going to do is just write everything I know about it so far, or assume. Text-based interface. You need prompting knowledge to really get some value out of it. To ask like the one-shot questions, there's not it's really hard to do that because you only get like a very single default response. So prompting knowledge to gain the most value, which is hard. What else do you need? You need I think it's like a $29 subscription. $29 monthly. So already that's, I think, a counterweight against it. Yeah, you need the, I'll go mobile app / desktop interface. You need to be able to read. So I'm just going to put need to read, which I don't think is a problem, but because all the text responses, because it's text response, you've sort of got to count that into, well, the types of the questions that parents are going to be asking. Text responses only. Like, I know you can do the DALL-E and the draw images, but that's not the same because it's just creating an image. It's not contextual to the question you're asking in providing an answer. So if you said, you know, I don't have examples off the top of my head, but something about my child and, you know, show me what that would look like, it doesn't work like that. So text responses only, and not everybody deciphers information by reading large blocks of text. You know, if you look at a website, you know, so text is no, I should say no image showing context. So I think that's also a problem. These aren't rendered as web pages. They aren't rendered as web pages, which people are used to. That would actually probably be interesting, actually, to render the content as a web page. But then you got to think, okay, well, the formatting. So I say not visually engaging. So not visually, unrendered web pages, not visually engaging. Let's say layouts. You know, it's a huge step back in terms of design, content design. I'm just going to put in brackets, layout and content design. So I say that's a huge step back. Now these notes aren't concise. Now it's not beautiful language. It doesn't need to be. This is just getting these thoughts down. Now there's this concept of like, well, just get ChatGPT to come up with all this stuff for you. I think that's a way of doing it. I think what's important is striking that balance. And I actually think, you know, so it's not just all, you know, AI led, because the problem with that is it becomes like really default language. You know, a person contacted me about a business proposal and said, oh, well, you just send it through to me, I'll have a look and go from there. It was in ChatGPT, and I could tell it was ChatGPT, and I could see the default nature of it, the default language, and the default structure. And they also left in the next prompt. When they copied and pasted, they copied and pasted the extra prompts. And so, where I think this is a huge problem for people is that they're creating without context. So yeah, it does the one page or your business plan, but because you haven't written it, because you haven't sat there and sort of, you know, channeled the meaning and what this is gonna entail, you don't know it. And you don't know it well enough that that's why it stays default. Whereas I think what works for me is to actually write the initial document, but to write it in a way that's just simple dot points like this. Not that one. Simple dot points. Then you use that to instruct, how you want it. And the reason why that's important is because then you can see that when you then take these dot points and you put them in and say, okay, now this is the business I want to do. Here is a document. Maybe it might be some market data, and this is a competitor analysis. And you feed those in and say, now help me to shape a business plan. So what's really good about that is it's got these really valuable inputs, and those inputs will then give you an output that's more suited to your purpose. So what you've done is you haven't got this AI to just come up with the entire plan for you, because it's never going to do that. It probably could one day, but I don't think it's quite there yet. But what it is going to do is going to save you time on generating all of that. And because you're leading that process and you're thinking about you understand all those little details at a higher level, which is why you've got these dot points. And it's demonstrated here with my dot points, because I'm sort of building that context and that guidelines, so that I know when it generates this document, it's really just fleshing out what I already understand about this. That's the trick, well, I believe anyway. So what else can we say about ChatGPT? Not everybody's comfortable. Not everyone is comfortable with AI. I had a student, and she was probably mid to late 50s, and she's an artist, and she's developing these books, and so I was helping her, just with the publishing and so on. And then I said, have you seen this I was introducing AI to her, and I said, have you done anything around this? Being a writer and a designer, illustrator. She said, no, I've been sticking away from it. It just scares me. And I had to engage her, into these tools, because it's like, it's that mentality, that attitude, that fear of this tool, because you've watched Terminator or because you listen to the news, and you just assume that it's bad, and it could be really bad. But that's only if good people don't do good things with it. And she seems like a good person, so introduced her to that. She said, "Wow, I'm really gonna use this and take her own books to the next level." She's never going to stop being an illustrator or stop being a writer. But what she has enabled are a whole host of tools that can, save her time and make her more capable. Yeah, and also sort of fill out where her weaknesses are. So not everyone's comfortable with AI. So I think there's I wouldn't say prejudice, but I'd put that down, prejudice, but also prejudice, apprehension, fear is an important one. So I think this is going to require like a it's going to require a different type of communication. So this is where we're going to have to change the narrative of what this is. So if you look at parents and you say, oh, AI parenting, there might be a lot of no. I think that might alienate a lot of people. Actually, that's probably another one to add, alienation. you know, people might just say straight up, it's like, no, I'm not letting a robot raise my kid. And that's the thing to get over. So I think there's got to be a way to introduce these empowering tools, these enabling tools, without like showing people, demonstrating to people that this is easy. Like, this is going to give you so much more tools in your parenting tool belt. And actually, that's probably some other things. Sorry, like as I said, I'm just getting used to saying this stuff out loud, and my mind is moving. But I think some of the things, I just thought of another thing, is relationships. That's another challenging part with this, is the relationships. And so if we up here, we're going to create a set of tools. So if our goal here is to create a suite or a set. I like set. Sounds less pretentious. Set of tools to, I guess we want to help the parents to, what do we got in here? To help parents. Set of tools to help parents raise, I don't know, like that. Also, the cool thing about doing it, when you write this down, is it's there. Like, you made it, you know, I can't cross that out. I don't like raise, but we'll just go for now. It's a great set of tools to help parents raise their children. What else? And I guess the other thing I want to do is to help to stay connected as partners in their relationships. It's a little bit waffly at the moment, but you know, in their relationships, I will, you know, workshop that. But that's the thing, like, parenting is hard. Being in a relationship and parenting is also hard. So you've made this, it's insane, like you've made this commitment, this lifelong commitment with this person in your life, that you're now bounded and bonded for life. And so hopefully you've chosen the right person. I know I have. And you sort of got to navigate not just the challenges of raising children, of the day-to-day, the long-term view of like what is your goal for, you know, where you want to get them as people. And then you've got your co-pilot that you must work with every day of both of your lives, and you've got to work cohesively. And as the dynamics of a relationship, you know, they're way more turbocharged than just that of business as a business partner. But this is a business. Like, you do have to make money. You do have to make strong decisions for both the short term and the long term. You know, you have to have a vision for your family. Where do you want to get to? Where are you now? What are these measures of success along the way? And then you've got to work on the dynamics of the relationship itself. You know, there's communication is huge. Like, they've got emotions that weighs in on this. We've got tiredness. Everything's good when it's great, but things really like the cracks will really show when everyone's tired, stressed, frustrated, and their cups are empty. So tiredness and fatigue. And then there's also the physical part. So we've got the physical. Actually, I should probably write this on this thing, but there's a physical part. So you've got changes in the body for both partners. Changes in the body. Like I've tried to, obviously for my partner who's given birth to 2 children, that takes a toll on her body, and my body's also changed as well. This I've always been quite fit and very disciplined and regimented. Like always do my exercise every day, this time, blah blah blah. Get up early, have a first coffee, water, exercise, 45 minutes to an hour, this and this, and this all happens before the sun even gets up. Now, I don't have that kind of I'd say I've lost that discipline because it's challenging to stay on a particular schedule because something's always happening. The kids aren't napping when there's an ideal time that they nap, but they never, it's never on the clock. House is constantly messy, housework, and you got to keep things. And there's a meal planning, meal prep, cooking, lots and lots of cleaning. And then you got to go back and forth to the supermarket, and then you got to work on top of that. So this is not a woe is me, but these are just some of the dynamics. And so my body's changed to that because where I would have spent like an hour, 2 hours a day of exercising, maybe 10 minutes, if that. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I try to get in like a interval training, but it just gets challenging because this is why I'm doing these so late, and it's 12:30 at night, because this is the only time I have to work in this capacity. Like I've tried to work during the day, but the movements of the kids and the family, it's I found it very challenging to just have to work in blocks of like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, and bits and pieces. It's really hard to sort of string together a big a consistent thought when it's broken up. So I just found it didn't work, so that's why I just work late, sleep in. So I usually wake up at about 8 in the morning now, whereas I used to wake up at 4. So that's been a change, but I just work later in the evening when everybody's in bed. So yeah, my body's changed. It's not as fit as it was. I'm not as strong as I was, but again, this will change. I've got to introduce this in. So before I do these sessions, I do 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I'm sort of tossing up whether I just do 15-minute interval training, or when I go back and just sort of do an hour of, strength, heavy lift training. It really just it depends. I'm not sure, but this is a part of this process of this parenting. Is hard. The relationships. It's hard, but it's only hard in the sense that you've always got to constantly be, well, for me, I find, checking myself and making sure I'm not, not taking for granted what this is. But it's hard. It's really hard. It is what it is. And I think everybody's version is different, but, I'm finding it challenging, but the rewards are so good. Like seeing your kids learn something for the first time, or the development, or the funny things that they do, that instantly outweighs 90% of all the other things. So, yeah, it's just like, just hearing them laugh and giggle hysterically it offsets everything that's not as fun. So, and it's really interesting because everything else in the universe seems to have a 50-50 counterweight, meaning that everything seems to be in balance. So things are as bad as they are as good. So, when you're eating, dessert, like the sensation you get from whatever, the ice cream, something, is good, but the amount of exercise to stay in balance with that is usually just it's hard. It's as hard as it is, delicious. But with the parenting, it's extremely, it's extremely hard. But the smallest moments weigh so much that it's like absolutely worth it. And then you don't just get like one small moment. There's like thousands and thousands of small moments throughout the day. So yeah, the thing is to just be present with it all. So this is another point, is the relationship part that we've sort of got to build into this. So when we sort of look at a set of tools, this is just about ChatGPT itself, but let's just talk about parenting. So the parenting stuff, and I'll do another column for relationships. Because none of this is going to work if parents can't work together. And I know that, I come from my parents were divorced. I get it. I've seen it in real life. Communication is a big part of it. I would say high emotions. Actually, high emotions, we'll say good / bad. What else we got? Tiredness and fatigue. Physical changes. In the body. I'd say that goes for both parents. I'd say intimacy / sex. Intimacy and sex. Because ultimately that's like the, you've got to be, you've got to cooperate. You've got to, you're bonded by your kids in your circumstances, but you also need to be physically and, spiritually bonded. That's like that X factor, that glue. I think the intimacy is actually the glue. I'll say glue that binds, outside of procreation and making more kids. I think that's the important part, intimacy and sex. It helps to bind that passion and that spark. Glue that binds the passion and spark. So I think once you start to let that go, then everything else is gonna, be out of balance. So physical changes, tiredness and fatigue, the emotions are gonna run high, communication, it's gonna break down. So parenting. So, everyone is trying their. Gotta go to bed soon. Everyone is trying their best. We're trying their best or wants to best. Say loss of community. Loss of community, commune. Actually, that was a name. I came up with a name for a. I just really liked it. I called it Commune. .ai. I reckon that'll be taken, but that'd be a cool name for at least a website. Commune. But I think commune has its own negative connotations. Like, I like the idea of a commune, but I think in the larger landscape of things, a commune has sort of been hijacked, with those, I'll say negative associations. But the idea, I think, is there. So loss of community is another thing. So parenting advice from Insta and TikTok is not real / incentivized for views. So that was that point, that it's not real in the sense of these people aren't living real lifestyles. They're living influencer lifestyles. And then ultimately what they're doing, selling is incentivized for views / brand deals. So they might be, it's that same old thing that, they'll tell you about this product, but they're not going to tell you about the kickbacks they're getting from that product. Or they try to disguise an ad as sort of a genuine interaction. So it's not real. It's a lot of bullshit. I'll just put that. Lots of grifters and bullshit. And there's a lot more to this, obviously. So we're kind of at. So, what are some of the tools? What are some of the concerns? I'm just going to highlight these. I'm going to say parents want to do their best. It's an important thing. It's a loss of community. And I'm just going to say social media advice is not trustworthy. I think that's the bigger point. It's not trustworthy. And I'm sure you'll find the ones who you can trust. That might become because they have a podcast, and they might be a, what do you call it? Yeah, they might have a podcast. They might there might be a doctor or someone with expert advice. So relationships. Okay, I think a relationship one is communication. High emotions. Actually, these are probably all good, but just go high emotions. Say fatigue. Physical changes, and then intimacy. So some of the things this is text responses only. That's probably a big. And this one's a good one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste this in to chat. See what it says, just straight off like that. I'm not even going to pre-prompt it. So this is what I mean when I was talking earlier about, just getting it to write a business plan for you. You can see that, I've instructed this with, just some basic dot points. These aren't written in a beautiful language. They aren't concise. They aren't coherent necessarily, but they're just starting points to sort of flesh this out. Now I've got ChatGPT goes in and now starts to shape it and fills in the gaps of what I've got. So, well, let's just read through it while we're here. Let's just read through it. No, we'll go to this camera. Hey. That's a full screen. No, I won't go full screen. It's pretty cool. Like you can see on my desktop setup, I've got this little thing here. And this is what I'm using the switch between the middle of Stream Deck. I thought about getting the big ones, but I was like, I don't need that. Like, that's good enough for me. I think I am going to turn off that piece of capture there. It looks a bit ugly. Yeah. Like, that's all I need. It's pretty cool. So I can just go beep, 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 beep. But anyway. And the reason why I've got this set up, as I keep saying in these sessions, is I'm trying to just bring people into this world of the creative process. That it's not like these YouTube grifters where everything's polished and it's in a 10-minute video and it's all perfect. But you don't necessarily see thousands of hours of going into that. Now, whether people want to watch thousands of hours or not, doesn't really matter. This is really just a way of showing you, okay, well, this is how you build something. You're interested? Watch. If you're not, don't watch. Watch the final product. But this is not for people who just want to watch final products. This is about, I guess this is creating a community for people who want to be a part of creating stuff and using these tools to create things. Yeah. So anyway, I like the pretty colors. I do love this keyboard, but I love how small it is, but I also hate how small it is because it doesn't have any cursor keys, so I've had to remap them and having to press FN on things and yeah. But hey, it's fine. I'm not a gamer, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, better get back to what I was talking about before I lose that point. So we'll read through this. ChatGPT interface challenges and opportunities. Key points: text-based, $29 monthly subscription. Does require reading, so barrier for visual learners. Not visually engaging like a design web page. Social and cultural apprehension towards AI use. Trust issues, fear, alienation. That's really good. So suggestions: communication strategies for bridging. Actually, no, I won't read all these because they're not really. They need another step to go. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the thing, that the advice is going to be given back in text. So yeah, we could do like a prompt library, and that might be a way to get started. So I'm just going to go back into here. I'm going to go. I'm going to call this one opportunities, just as they come up. Say a prompt. I'm not going to say prompt engineering. I'll say prompt library. This could be free. This could be promoted for free. Everyone wants to do their best but faces systemic isolation and loss of community support. Social media advice is often entertainment focused and incentivized. Influencer grifts. That's what I'm going to call this. Influencer grifts. So consider a community-driven model. What if you developed a resource where parents shared practical tips without monetization? Perhaps an AI-generated Ask 100 Parents report. That's interesting. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. Again, I'm not going to rewrite that. I'm just going to get that in there. That's an interesting one. Develop conversation prompts for partners to reconnect when they're feeling strained. So we did that. We did a year in review, which was 25 questions. What we did, we sat down and just spoke, and then recorded the conversation, and we took the transcript, and that got fed into ChatGPT, and then we did some prompts from that, like analyze for insights, and I actually went under the Freudian example, and yeah, that was very very helpful. So I might just leave that there for tonight. It is getting late, but I think that's a really good start. So I might just copy all that too. Just put this under a tab. I'm just going to call this I'm going to call this a opportunity overview. V1. So at the end of this, like, it may start just being a prompt library to use ChatGPT, and that's fine. That's a good place to start, because you want to start right now and not have to, it takes 10 years for this thing to get set up. So we start right now, but the most important part is defining the vision. So actually I might just write that. Help me to define the vision statement. And that's the most important part of this early stage, is having a good sense of where the North Star is, where you're going to be heading. So the reason being is that then, unless you want to do prompt engineering templates for the rest of your life, it's like, this is just the first step in that, heading in that direction. But where do we want to go, and what ultimately is going to be our guiding star to say yes to opportunities, to no to other opportunities, to allow us to focus and to make the right choices along the way. Sure, there will be some bumping off the walls left and right, but ultimately there should still be a strong sense of magnetic north, and not just bumping into the walls and finding your way that way. Like, you can, and there'll probably be a lot of that, but it's really about minimum effort for maximum output. And so every time you crash into something, you will learn things, but you can also learn things also by just good strategy and mitigating the number of failures. Like, it's all good to say, just fail often, fail fast, but I think it's better to fail only when don't set out to fail. Fail. Just don't set out to fail. Fail if you don't have all the information, or what it may be. So, okay. Let me just go back to foster connection, empowerment in digital world by refining communication. I want this to be for parents.
So here we've got some. Let's read this out and then we'll stop it here. So here's some vision statements just based upon the information, dot points I fed in. To empower parents with trustworthy, meaningful guidance and a supportive community. Helping them navigate the joys and challenges of parenting with confidence and connection. Yeah, it's a bit wordy. To create a trusted space where parents can find real, authentic advice and digital tools that strengthen their bonds and foster resilience in their parenting journey. That's not bad. Again, I think it could be sort of cut in half. To redefine digital support for parents by providing personalised, trustworthy insights and fostering a connected, empowering, powered parenting community. I think the problem with that is it's too vague for me. To support parents in doing their best by bridging the gap between digital tools and real life connection, creating a space where trust, empathy, and shared wisdom thrive. I think that's a good one. So, and again, we can reshape these. This is really just, you know, oh, that's pretty cool now. That copying ChatGPT results in, it puts them in chapters. Hey, I never used to do that. I don't know if you can see it on the, there you go. That's really handy. So I might just put this, but this is vision. So my partner and I, her name's Kyla. We're going to be working together on this. Yeah, we just decided, well, we both have we can use these tools for ourselves. And why not develop this just for our family? And then as part of doing that, well, we're working together. We've got the skills, and I had the thought, well, why not just share it? Like this process of doing this in the creative process. So just share it with the world and other parents, show you how we're doing it. Yeah, I like that. And the last one, to build a future where every parent feels seen, supported, and empowered through authentic connection and meaningful guidance. See, I don't really like that because, yeah, no, I don't like that. It doesn't feel specific. So I think number 4, to support parents in doing their best by bridging the gap between digital tools and real life connection, creating a space where trust, empathy, and shared wisdom thrive. What I really like about that, it's kind of growing on me. I think I have a default prejudice against it because it's just AI and I haven't written it. But when I look at it, just as a formula, that's why these vision things are so important. I think that's the really good thing about marketing is it teaches you about this, the vision, because you've got to do so much work for clients. And if they don't have a vision, it's really hard in this creative environment because at some point someone's got to make the decision. So if I'm laying out a website or if you're shooting photos and you've got to tell a photographer, they'll come to you and say, okay, well, what do you need? And you've got to have an answer. You've got to say, well, I want the photos to look like this because what we're trying to communicate is this. The vision for this company is this, and this is, so it sort of feeds down and makes all these creative choices. So when the photographer will say, okay, we're going to use this model or that model, you don't have any reference point, but other than just personal preference at that point. So this is why this vision stuff's so important. It does sound lofty, but it's not. It's really just it's a GPS coordinate of this is where we've got to land. Like, a GPS coordinate, longitude, latitude coordinate, it's not going to tell you how to get there. It's not going to tell you how to get to Sydney. Like, that's up to you. But what it's going to do is it's going to tell you where: Sydney, Melbourne, Los Angeles, New York, London, Amsterdam. It's going to tell you where that is. Then it's up to you to find the method and the means to get there. Same with vision. So I think we're going to go with that. To support parents, let's break it down a little bit. I've got it here. To support parents in doing their best. I think I really like that. So we're always assuming that they're doing their best. Because, you know, I think I'm a, you know, those parents that, you know, I judge the parents. The parents who sit in the parks on their phones while the kids are playing, I judge them. I think, you losers, you fat losers. But this is really good with Kyla. She's sort of, you know, kept me grounded with this. It's like that person's just trying their best. Like, we don't know. They could have been up all night with 2 sick kids. They might be going through a divorce. They might have a job that sucks. They might have lost their job. They might have some sort of illness. There's so much that goes into it. It's really hard to just, it's very callous to just look at the end result of someone sitting on a park bench slouched over their phone and thinking they're losers, which I do. I think they're losers, but that's the thing I need to readjust, is that they're just doing their best. The fact that they're even at a park is better than not. The fact that they're even present and alive for their children, you know, that's a big thing too. So that's why I think this line is really interesting, really good, to support parents in doing their best, because we're all going to have versions of our best, because we're all got our own standards and our own methods, because we all have different goals. So to support parents in doing their best by bridging, that's a good word. Bridging. No, I don't want to bold, let's go underline. By bridging the gap between digital tools, that's good, and real life connection. So there is a gap. I guess that is the gap. I think the digital tools, this could be, I think trust is important. Share trust or empathy. If trust is important, then empathy is, shared wisdom, thrive. So, all parents. Okay, that's pretty good. To support parents in doing their best by bridging the gap between digital tools. So this digital tools could be AI as well, but it's not limited to AI. I think digital tools really is, can be substituted with anything that is, computer, digital, not digital, computer, electronic means. And why electronic is the focus is because we're in a different time in society where we have these superhuman tools that can turbocharge us, but they aren't there yet. So, and I think digital tools is all encompassing of new technology. It's a very good umbrella term. And real life connection. Yep, I like that. So, yep. So I wouldn't feed this integrated business plan because there's still no delineation of what this is actually going to be. But I think that's good enough for now. So I'm going to say parenting. I'm just going to share that with Kyla as well. Okay. Also, another part of this is not to overanalyze it either. I think this is probably just enough to get started. Like, I don't want to actually write any more documents and things. It's now just about creating a small set of tools. I think we start with prompt in, like a little prompt library. I guess we've got to give it a name. I think commune is just a little bit too alienating. So we'll have to come up with a name, cool name. Should I just go to Pinterest? Pinterest is always good to, I don't know, fuck about. And no, of course it's not. I guess you could make a website that looks like Pinterest. And how to prompt. Now, I think I wouldn't make any extensive web platform. I'd probably use a Squarespace and try to utilize that to make something. Actually, what would be cool is building a community where, you know, they create their own prompts. User generated and uploaded prompts. No, upvoted. So this is a good time to draw. Now we've got all this information up around. It's a good time to just maybe I might start from another little bit. Well, I'll just draw out. I've got to fix up this mic. I keep bumping it, and I hate the sound of bass blowing out. But maybe that's better. I don't want to cover my face too much. Maybe I should. Anyway, I think my camera's about to die. I've got my phone. This is my phone up here. Whoa, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Anyway, actually, that means I can probably lift this up. And maybe you can see the detail in this stuff. It's pretty clever. It's pretty clever how it switches between that. It probably would have taken someone a long time to figure out how to get this to switch. And I think my phone's about to die, or my camera phone's about to die, so it's not plugged in. Yeah. Interesting times. I actually find this relaxing too, drawing. It's a good way to unwind. I don't exactly know what I'm drawing, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes you just have to do something just because and not because it means anything. This is AI music. It's not bad. And the reason why I say it's not bad is because it does sound like an actual song that someone would do. So I guess one of the questions is like why have I chosen to do something about parenting? Because it's something I know so much about now, and not as an expert, but as someone who's going through this experience right now. And I overuse AI tools. The reason why I overuse them is because I'm still trying to figure out what they are, what they mean, can they be useful. So I use AI to solve things. I don't necessarily need AI, but what the purpose of that is to just start to get used to using this as an extra limb. Because now what's happened is that I kind of default. I can see opportunities like I will just get AI to do that. And it's not just AI like you just write one prompt and that's done. But you've got to sort of think creatively about it. That's like I was talking about last night in creating simulations, which I want to do in this. So I actually might not just do this parent AI prompt thing the whole way. I want to do some other fun and experimental things. And I do want to explore the idea of simulations. I guess answering the question, are we in a simulation? Well, most probably. But can we make one? Well, I think that's inevitable. I think the real question will be what type of simulation is it and what will we be simulating for? So I think a simulation is really just some sort of experiment to analyze cause and effect of, certain parameters. But yeah. So I'm definitely going to do that. Create a simulation just for fun. Just to see what happens. I guess that's the idea of a simulation, is just to see what happens. It's quite therapeutic doing this. Again, this drawing means nothing. I'm just, this is really rough, by the way, so I can show you. And it's really just doodling, so there's no real detail into it. It's really just about kind of letting go and, sitting here and looking at a notebook and sort of like writing things out, and just sort of trying to force an answer. For me, it doesn't work. I think for other people it can, and I think it can work really well. It's just that my mind is more balanced to this creative side, so I try to follow what works for me. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Got a lot of things to think about and have a go at. This camera is about to go flat, so thank you for joining me tonight. This has been The Creative Process. Again, we do this every night, as many nights in a row as I can possibly do. And yeah, this is so interesting. Such an interesting experiment doing this. Whether this finds an audience or not, it doesn't matter. It's just the process of doing and maintaining accountability. And hey, if it helps some people, then great. And if it's just me watching this in 50 years' time, then hello to future me. But other than that, I think it's time for some bed. I think it's time to go to bed. So, hey. I want to show you my little intro as I exit. So, alright, here we go.
C'è fanni vidi in zocco affari, picchion c'è affazzo più. Ma camarun non zanca polietto, e usigno russo su proprietto magari. Rintrasto mai ti insegnasse a Natale. Bocchi faico, buona cia, paitanna, Villa Grazia, Nucci, Guaragna, Palla vicino, Sferra Cavallo, Cruilla, Sacqua Santa, abbiamo un taibo, San Lorenzo, Cipriessi, Colonna, Rutta, Spiruni, Oreto, Arruocca, Politeama, Falso Miele, Calza, Montello, Monti Pidino, Villa Tasca.